Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I will start. So I will try to make it less theoretical, let's call it this way, and more practical. So I also have two demonstrations. So of two MCP servers. One MCP server is basically doing semantic interoperability. It's a demonstrator how you can link any kind of information to Wikidata and get it in DDI, CDI, and after export as a graph. And after integrating something like Croissant or any kind of JSON LD. And second demonstration is MCP for Dataverse, where you can connect to nodes in Dataverse network. There are hundreds of Dataverse instances. You can ask questions, and it does understand where to go, to which country, and also how to query Dataverse and get information, and after analyze information. So I will start with Croissant. So why Croissant was created? So I myself, I was invited to Croissant group by Harvard University when Google initiated discussion about new standard for machine learning. They started to ask all people that are interested, and someone from Harvard joined. And after they just invited me because I was considered as a technical expert who can also help. So this is how I've got into Croissant group and started to work on Croissant approximately for 2 years. So motivation to create Croissant was very clear because machine learning requires quite different data quality than we have right now. And I would not complain about quality that we have in industrial platforms like Kaggle and Hugging Face. And of course, we have some data sets published in Dataverse network. I think it's about now approximately 800,000. So we have quite a lot of data, but those data sets not really applicable for machine learning. So it's impossible to train something on it. And every file has unique structure and unique column names, and there are no code books. So there are a lot of problems that should be solved. So this is why Google initiated the creation of Croissant standard together with King's College London. So it's basically like industry and academia started to work together and to invite experts to basically create this new standard. And it was called Croissant because they went for lunch and basically, oh, it's probably a good idea to call it just Croissant in Google Office. So as you can understand that Croissant basically helping to solve problem of processing of unstructured information like text, images, and video, and to get some structured data from any kind of data coming into system. And there is also a process that allows to denormalize data to be used in machine learning frameworks. So you can run any kind of framework like Keras or TensorFlow, or you can train LM with it. So you can do a lot of stuff already. And of course, we need some ML-specific metadata, for example, like responsible AI, so indicating also how to produce test training and validation steps and how to define labels. So all this kind of information should be available directly in data, in metadata. So other problem that it should be also versioning and checkpointing to support model snapshots because there are some updates and you also have to track this. So basically we created that and it was released in March of last year, so 2024. So there is a spec published online and there is also paper submitted for NeuroRips. And it's been implemented for major platforms. As you see, Kaggle is supporting Croissant experts and OpenML and Hugging Face, and we implemented also Dataverse expert in Croissant. So it's basically being adopted quite well right now, and most of platforms already have this kind of functionality. And this is how it looks like in Dataverse. So as being enabled, Dataverse currently has Croissant Expert as a plugin. So you have to enable it. You have to download and enable. And you will see button which will produce JSON-LD suitable for machine learning. And if you don't know how it works, you just go to, for example, Harvard Dataverse, or there are some Dataverses in Netherlands with button Croissant, and you can download Croissant and check what kind of fields are already available. And the whole idea, of course, is just to create 4 different layers and describe 4 different levels of information. So first is metadata, and metadata is basically coming from typical description. So it contains a citation block with title and author names and some provenance information, keywords description, plus available resources, so files and how to download them and where to access them. If it's published in distributed storage like S3, it will be also there. There is also structure, and this is also very important, because if you have some tabular files, you need to understand how to convert those files to structured data, and how a model should be able to read that. And of course, semantics, where also is being all column names, for example, being linked to their data type. So model knows how to do processing of every unit which is stored in metadata. So all of that actually is quite universal. So you can use any kind of machine learning framework, like I already mentioned. There is Keras, PyTorch, TensorFlow. You can basically train using this standard. You can train any kind of model, not only LM. It's suitable for anything. And there is quite rich ecosystem now with a lot of applications. And what is remarkable, Croissant is being integrated in Google dataset search. So if you'll go to Google, you'll search some datasets. It's basically able to find and recognize Croissant, and also recognize, for example, variable names, and you can find variables directly in Google. Okay, so this is Croissant layers in detail. I already mentioned about dataset level metadata, and there is also a very important field about license, because the whole idea also to put license for restricted data, and also models should act responsibly. So if you want to train something, some new model on data sets which you will find somewhere, first you should check if actually it's allowed to train on this data. So it should have appropriate license, and model is also responsible for that. So if there is machine-to-machine interaction, a model will know that if some license will not allow to use this data for training, it should be actually ignoring files, right? So next level is resource description, and you can just see it as a pointers to different files stored somewhere in data network, and also content structure agnostic to specific file formats, and it should be also allowing join between different data sets. So for example, if you want to answer some very complex question and you need to find a few data sets, let's say 10,000 data sets, and you want to integrate them and train new model, this is why Croissant actually is shining, and you can do this with Croissant. So actually it was designed to do that. And of course, ML semantics, I already mentioned about responsible AI fields. So it's basically about documentation, about how every field is being described, and what is the meaning, and what are units of measurements, and labels, variables, so this kind of stuff. So as benefits, you can see Croissant as a kind of universal standard. It is like schema.org plus extension for AI stuff. So as I already mentioned, you can just put Croissant in any machine learning framework supporting Croissant, and you can just it can just do automatic split on training and verifiable data, and it basically will do everything automatically. So human is not involved in this process, just probably watching if everything goes okay, but not really interrupting and not applying extra work for this. So there is also a tool in interoperability. We started to work on Croissant support for different repositories. So for example, there is ongoing work which allows to export dataset from Kaggle, put it in Dataverse, and use Dataverse tools to improve, for example, to connect to control vocabularies, improve interoperability, and put it back in Kaggle. So this is the idea that you can basically use tools provided by different parties. You can go from industrial platform in academic platform, do something with data, and after put it back in industrial platform. This is the idea. And you can also use some analysis and visualization tools. So this is example of tabular content. So you see there is like CSV file, there is Toy Story, Jumanji, and some other movies. And this is how it's been described inside of Croissant. So basically you can define some fields, and you can also define some columns. And this is kind of instruction for model how to recognize that. And framework will do this as kind of navigation tool to do something useful like training. In general, you can see Croissant really as navigation system in your car. So if you want to go somewhere, you are defining first, you're typing city name, and after some street name, and after number of building. So this is kind of the same thing for Croissant, but for AI. So it's like universal navigation system. And of course, there is some machine learning semantics, so it can do some splits, automatic, like already mentioned, with training, validation, and test steps could be done by any model automatically. Just basically, there is instruction with regex, how to do that, and how it should be interpreted by a model, and after it will do everything automatically. So Croissant is in Dataverse currently. It has two different implementations. So first implementation is being done by Harvard QSS itself, and it's available as a production-ready product in Dataverse. And second experimentation, that's something we did previously, and I was leading this work. So there are semantic mappings in PyDataverse, suitable also for other data repositories. So that means that we actually can apply this solution with PyDataverse to produce Croissant from any kind of source of information, source of data. As soon as you have all suitable metadata, you can create Croissant record, and after you can show this record to AI, and you can ask questions, so it's suitable for that. And the reason for that, because I thought that it would be nice to have this really fluid and experimental Croissant implementation, because I started to believe that in the future, AI should be able to do all these semantic mappings itself without human, probably, or with human in a loop, also asking question for human, if I understand this right, and if human is confirming, it should be going to some semantic mappings registry and available for all people. So I think I will convince you in the very end of this presentation that it's possible. So Croissant also, when it was published, we started to think about what to do next, how to improve that. And I must admit that at the moment, added value of Croissant could be also considered in variables. So as soon as you have, let's say, functionality to ingest files in Dataverse, it can also understand column names and, for example, get information about data types and descriptive statistics like minimum, maximum, mean, and median. All this kind of information will be available also in Croissant export. And unfortunately, it will be only string name for variable, so you'll not get any kind of linkage to semantic resource describing specific variable. And this is something we decided to fix in semantic Croissant. So we started to also to work on the alignment with retrieval augmented generation. And there are some solutions that we created based on MCP, consuming external APIs, and basically building graph. And this graph is moving, is not completely static, because sometimes you can get some mistakes, and you don't know, human doesn't know if there's mistake, so you have to recalculate every time. So this is why this graph is very fluid also. And from other side, there is also vector space. So there is a vector database which allows also to take similarity search and to predict which kind of terms could be linked to Croissant fields. Okay, sounds complicated probably, but I will try also to show you how it works. So why semantic croissant is very cool. You see this example. So there is a photograph, and this is Queen in 1976. So if you'll show this photograph just to any LM model, it will recognize there is some band playing. But as soon as you provide some information in fields that this is Queen actually, and this is 1976, it does understand and recognizes names of all musicians, and it knows that this is Freddie Mercury and this is Brian May, and this is how they dressed. So it's basically giving idea to LM model who is on the photo, and because it knows the context, it can recognize exactly who is doing what. Okay, so now I'm coming to use cases in semantic croissant, and Esteban recognized that because we did some work in Fair Impact project, and first use case is about AI-powered mappings for ontologies. And of course, we wanted to understand if it's possible to map different metadata schemas for different platforms and somehow to link them together and produce some knowledge graph with cost relationships. So as example, we took data site and code meta, and you see, as you see here, different properties that probably can mean the same things, but they call differently. With AI, they could be kind of linked together. So as you see, like in data side, something called programming language could be called, no, in code meta, something called programming language in data side could be called format, and file size could be called just size. So basically, we created prototype that allows to ask questions like and build semantic crosswalks. So there is input like publication year, the year when data was or will be made publicly available is being recognized as date published based on provided facts. So we used similarity distance basically to understand which fields could be linked, and of course it's not probably not 100% correct. So still humans should be checking that and probably make different kind of decision, especially if there are few fields looking like relevant to be linked to specific field, right? But still, it shows quite good results, and in the very end, we've got 100% accuracy when we compare to human annotation. So second use case is automatic linkage of values with control vocabularies, which is much more complicated because to do that properly, you need to understand the whole context. And as I already told you, context is a moving thing. So as more data sets are being linked, and it's also changing in time, and something which was described and created like 50 years ago could be not valid anymore. So there are a lot of problems that actually making this task very, very difficult. So there is also a demonstrator which I've created some time ago. It allows to make prediction based on context plus query. So in this example, there is query Hotel California, which is a song by Eagles, and I'm basically building, I'm querying this API supporting semantic search, and it's based on all candidates. It's making decision that it should be linked to this concept from Wikidata, which is song written by and composed by Eagles in 1976. However, if there is Hotel California, but it's not a song, it's basically some criminal movie inspired by this song. It was some movie from 2008. So in this case, query will stay the same. So it's still Hotel California, but context will be criminal movie. And as you see, it's selecting different concept URI from Wikidata. However, if it's different movie, it's not even from 2008. So you know that there is some movie with the same name from 2013, and you're slightly changing context. It's pointing to new concept URI, and this is completely different thing. So you see, it's just the same query, the same request, the same keyword, but it's being mapped and recognized differently because context was specified by different words. So now I'm coming to a very interesting topic about using Croissant with DDI, and this is really cool functionality basically for responsible AI. So what we found, it's really fascinating, and you will see it also in further demonstration, that if you have all variables described properly and linked properly, so it's called variables cascade. So, for example, every variable has units of measurements and also properties, attributes, so all this supplying information. It can also recreate documentation automatically for you with quite high precision. So I see it as a kind of opportunity to create AI assistants for scholars. And scholars should do their job. So they should do research and they should take experiments. And it should be some kind of AI which is tracking what they're doing and describing it and showing to scholar. And scholar should just confirm or reject what it's proposing. And as soon they both agree, this is right documentation. Scholars should be able just to save this, and it should become part of documentation and go to Dataverse and Kaggle and some other places. So this is how it looks like. It's if you go to Dataverse, there is also DDI expert, and what is really remarkable, you can see like if there is some spreadsheet, there is some tabular data. You can also use DDI CDI transformation. It's called CDIF, Cross-Domain Interoperability Framework. So it's basically producing JSON LD, which could be integrated with Croissant. So this is like Croissant on metadata level description. It's library plus expert knowledge, which is described as DDI CDI in CDIF. Okay, and also I know Barbara should be very interested in this topic, but there is also a prototype that allows, by using all this information in variables, it basically allows to do translation, and you can add translation in any language in semi-automatic mode also. So, for example, we can extend Wikidata descriptions with other languages, or we can also go to Ontoportal or Cosmos platforms and add translations for terms in specific context. Okay, so this is already semantic croissant in action. I just wanted for you to understand what it's doing. So if there is some data set, like from Dataverse in this example, it's just producing this nice total representation with a lot of labels. So it's also able to recognize from description all new keywords and link them automatically to Wikidata and potentially to any ontology which is stored in knowledge graph. Okay, so now I'm coming to MCP. Probably you all heard about MCP, Model Context Protocol, but this is really cool stuff. And MCP allows to connect models with tools and resources and get all these LM prompts together. And after you can do a lot of interaction with real sources of information. For example, if you have some database or you have some external graph, you can get a bunch of data from this source and ask LM models to do something, to answer some questions, or to do something with it, like integration, for example. Now I will quickly switch to my first demo. Oh, questions will be after, okay? Okay, so probably you all know about LM Studio. So I'm using different IDEs. I'm using Claude, I'm using Cursor, this is LM Studio, and recent model from OpenAI.
Slava,
Sorry?
are you sharing something else now because we still see the MCP slide?
Oh, wait. So I need to share something else. Okay, just, yeah. Now you should be able to see it.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just LM Studio, but there is MCP server and it can do quite a lot of things. For example, I integrated with my Gmail account, so I can read emails, I can read spreadsheets. I can also do analysis of any proposals, like to pretend LM that it can criticize something. Anyway, so just to give you idea how it works, I will just copy some text, and this coming from SAS project. We are working on with scholars on project where we have some variables, and I just copied very small example, and I will ask like use semantic link tool to link variables to Wikidata.
Sorry, can you just say what variables are for you?
Was are variables energy and monitor trans. So you see transmission. So was are variables I'm expecting to be linked. Okay. So it will recognize those variables from the text. And because there is a tool called semantic link, which is querying Wikidata for every variable. So now it will be running this tool. So you see there's a term energy, and it's just in this context mono energy. It's just sending to API and recognizing some Wikidata entity and basically filling all this information automatically. So now AI agent is doing this job, and you will get report to which entities from Wikidata it will be linked and why. So it's doing completely automatically all this job right now, but it shows to me, to user, and I can double check. You see, it's querying. So the whole point, information is coming from factual source. So every time it's just asking question from external API, and it's getting this response. You see? And now, after it's getting all this information field, it's basically producing this report. So it's label, meaning, and suggested Wikidata ID, Wikidata entity. Okay, so now I'm asking, okay, so you got this, you understand this, so add units of measurements for every variable. So basically, what it's doing now, because it does understand, it has an understanding what every variable means. So now it will check how it's been measured, every variable, and it will send table with information. There is new column called suggested units. And you see, it's basically also giving some notes. So now just from my input, which is a few lines, we went to quite interesting piece of documentation, which should be checked by human expert. Okay, so now I will try, I will ask, convert this to JSON LD, mean CDI. So now it will package option as DTI CDI, and from this moment we can already link to Croissant to extend this reliable documentation. So you see, it's energy, and now it's getting description coming from Wikidata and preferable label. So, and also ID in Wikidata. And also there is a unit list. So it's producing quite good documentation already based on my input. Now I want to save this. So I'm happy about results. So I want to share with someone else. And I'm just asking model, because there is also a method tool which I implemented to save this information. So save in file. So it will save a JSON LD, and yeah, so it's basically now calling another tool, save to file, and it will get a hash inside. So as soon as something will be changed, it will get another hash. So it will be indication that, you know, it's getting changed. Okay, and it will show in which file I can find it. So from this moment, I can already send by email, or I can just create new Google Doc document, and I can share with other people working in the same group. And this model is running locally on my computer. So I'm not using any OpenAI, ChatGPT, whatever. It's just my Mac is doing this job. So you can do it too. Okay, so it's been saved. So now you can understand that just from little piece of information taken from some experimental work, it's basically already getting linked to Wikidata concepts, and there is description in right context. There are also units of measurements, and there are also relationships. I can also, by the way, add like ask to add scores broader and scores narrow. So it does understand now every variable. So this is why you see you are able just to work with every piece of information naturally, and you can store it anytime. So it's basically like you're getting LM library, which is tracking what you're doing and what will be your input, what will be your output, and you can go back anytime and you can double check this, which is completely different from current usage of ChatGPT and other tools. Okay, so now it's getting some broader. So like energy is physical quantity, angle. So you see, so basically it's doing job, and also changing inside of DDI CDI representation. It's here. So all this could be considered as trusted information because it's coming directly from API, which is powered by knowledge graph, but not training, not training inside of the model. Okay, so it was my first demonstration, and I will switch now to Cursor to showcase how Dataverse network could be queried. Just give me 1 second. It's getting slow.
So mindful of the time, I'm thinking maybe we could take a few of the questions at least. I mean, I see that only myself and Esteban has added a few with names on them, but there might be others that people haven't articulated yet.
But Volmar, I think it is very interesting. I don't know if you don't have time.
Yeah, I will need to leave at the hour. Indeed. So maybe you can continue after having a few questions. I think maybe we can kind of briefly go through the end of the agenda. So it doesn't need to cover the 10 minutes that we had allocated to it. We can do that shorter. I'm pretty sure of it. So, I mean, maybe you can take one of your questions, Esteban, to start with.
Can I suggest something? I just will show quickly what is possible to do with Dataverse for a few minutes, and after we'll switch to questions, because I think it should be also very interesting for all people. Okay? Just give me a second. I will find my cursor. Oh, yeah, that one should be able to see it. Okay, you see it? My cursor. So there is another MCP. I'm just like first I will show all tools available, and it will go to Dataverse MCP now, and it will get list of tools. So it's basically querying Dataverse MCP, and now it will show what is available. So like fetch, of course, and onboarding process. This is very interesting. It is I need to spend one hour to explain you what I did with onboarding, because I basically recreated onboarding process for any LM. Okay, so now it shows what is possible, and I'm querying. I'm asking like, can you show me how many data versus in every continent. So now it knows that it should go to the tool, which will create an overview of all available in data verses. So there is a kind of separate tool which is responsible for navigation queries. So you see, it's just getting all this information and yeah, producing this summary. Okay, so it's like by every continent. So find some data sets on climate change in France, for example. So what will happen now? Because now it knows that there are some nodes in France available in Dataverse network. So it will just query all French nodes, as you see, like Science Power and some other CRAT and some others. And it's using multilingual already query, so it's also climate change translated in French. And it will give a report how many datasets available, and you can already select something. And yeah, it's still doing job. So now climate change and datasets, yeah, it's giving report. So I will just take some random dataset and will ask to explain what it's about. So now what it's doing, yeah, still finishing previous. So what it's doing now, it's consuming Croissant for specific dataset, and this Croissant will tell AI what is inside, what kind of variables available, and what kind of files, and how to read files. So all this kind of information is very detailed, and it's being told to AI. So you can just get all this information, and you can also ask them about specific files. Show me all variables and how I can use them. Yeah. So okay, I will stop share. Which is basically what I wanted to show. And now questions.